What is up, everyone? I thought I should start doing some YouTube videos again. It has been a while. You may have noticed me sort of just putting the odd bit out. So that's what sort of I'm going to do on this channel. I'm going to save stuff for podcasts. I want to put good coaching content out there. And I want to just sort of put what I want out there. I know that's not necessarily how viewers and all that stuff works, but realistically, I'm not a YouTuber. So if I'm going to put stuff on YouTube, then I want it to be what I want. So there'll be some videos that you absolutely cannot be bothered watching. There'll be some stuff that you're really into. So hopefully, sort of between all the videos, we can get a good mix of stuff and try and keep people happy. First of all, this first video back, I suppose, I'm going to do the Instagram Q&A that I said I would film. Luckily, I sort of told people I would film a YouTube video, so then I don't really have a choice about doing it or not. So we'll get straight into it, and then this is going to be, I'm going to say reasonably regular thing, where I'll split my Q&As between like normal Instagram stuff and then possibly looking at doing like more video Q&As, maybe more specific stuff to certain things, look at certain topics. So it's something that I feel like I'll be able to keep up with, so that's probably what I should be doing. The first question we have is, what kind of surgery am I having? I'm having an abdominoplasty. As people may or may not know, I used to weigh about 185 kilograms, and I will very professionally just grab my phone and have a look at what that is in pounds for people who use freedom units. That is 407 pounds. Currently, I weigh 130 kilos, which is about 110 pounds less than that. The lightest I got to last year was about 110 kilos, but I did that by starving myself and ignoring the advice of much smarter people than myself. So then what I did was got really depressed, gained weight back, and then now I'm losing weight again, but slower and more sustainably. But as a result of being really big, I've got quite a lot of loose skin and quite a lot of like excess like fatty cells that I want to get removed, basically. So that's an abdominoplasty. They're going to cut off an amount of skin from around my hips, sort of waist area, and also around my chest as well. And then I think they're doing some liposuction, but that is one of the reasons I'm dieting again at the moment. Is I sort of feel like that's cheating a little bit. That's my personal opinion on it for me. So I would rather lose as much weight as I can myself before I go out there. I think it might give me some better results as well. So yeah, that is the surgery I'm having done. The next question that relates to that is, how much skin do you think, like how much weight of skin do you think will be removed? Like I said, when I sat at about 110 kilos, I had quite a lot of loose skin then, and probably about 10 kilos of skin and some more fat, obviously, at that point. So I'm not sure how much will be removed, because I'm not 100% sure how much I'm going to weigh when I go out there. However, I think and hope that after the surgery, after recovery, after swelling and all that's gone down, I'm hoping to be under 100 kilograms, which is going to be absolutely crazy. Because, again, if I very professionally use my phone, 100 kilograms, I've not weighed less than 100 kilograms since I was about 15 years old. Growing up, I sort of always weighed my age in stone, which not healthy, especially when you hit 30. It's really not great for you. So yeah, I think I'll be under 100 kilos, which will make next year's climbing adventures really interesting, because I'm climbing reasonably well at the moment, weighing 130 kilos, and it'll make racing really interesting. I'll be a lot lighter, less hot, less constricted, sort of in safety gear. So really excited to be potentially under 100 kilos. If after the surgery I'm not under 100 kilos, I'm going to try to get under 100, but without, risking any complications and without doing anything stupid. So yeah, that's it. I don't know how much they're going to remove, but I've got a goal for where I want to weigh, and I think that will make life as a climber really interesting, and it'll make my day-to-day life a lot better. One of the sort of key factors for getting the surgery is where loose skin is when it's hot, especially, or out climbing wearing a harness and stuff can get sores and blisters and stuff like that. So I'd like to not deal with that anymore. So yeah, that is sort of everything about the surgery, except for one person asking why am I travelling abroad for it. So I am travelling to Nord Aesthetics Clinic in Kaunas, or however you actually say it, in Lithuania. This is a clinic that was very highly recommended to me by people who have been there for similar treatment, for other treatments as well. And fundamentally, the reason is money. It's an elective surgery. It's something I'm paying to have done. And if I had that done in the UK, it would cost, I think it was about £13,000, something like that, like an insane amount of money. I did look around, I did get quotes, and in Kaunas it's probably about 5,000 to 6,000 euros. So providing that our government don't absolutely tank the pound, it's going to be a lot cheaper. The obvious concern is the aftercare aspect of it, but this clinic has been very highly recommended. I'm going to be staying out there for 5 to 7 days after the surgery, I think. So myself and Shiv fly out there on the 11th of December. My surgery is scheduled for the 14th, and we fly back on the 21st. So we've got plenty of time to sort of recover, go through any checkups, go through any stuff with the surgeon. The clinic have been really nice and really helpful with every question I've got, and as people who know me can imagine, there was a lot of questions. They're also like really kind to, we're going to collaborate with some stuff, so I'm going to properly film sort of the surgery process, the recovery process, sort of what's going on with it at various stages. And the clinic have a production team. Obviously it's a private company, so they have to advertise and stuff. So we're going to film the actual surgery. I'm not sure where I'll put that up, if I'll even be able to watch it, but there'll be sort of interviews with myself and the surgeon beforehand, going through the consultation process, going through their recommendations for people who are looking at the procedure. Obviously, that isn't just applicable to people going to them for the procedure, but I think it's something that should be talked about, and people should have as much information as possible. So I'm going to give as much information as I can about the surgery process, about the recovery. Obviously, with the Mulligan brothers filming Stoltman brothers documentaries at some point, because I don't think I'm going to see anyone sort of from the strongman world between now and probably Britain's Strongest Man. So they'll be filming a documentary where I went from like 135 kilos at the Arnold to maybe under 100 kilos at Brits, and will look reasonably different. So that's sort of the other reason I want to document stuff so thoroughly, is sort of to explain that what's going on and why this, fairly major change has happened. So that's probably it for surgery questions in this one. But like I said, this will be sort of a series coming up, so I'll talk a bit more in depth about the reasons behind the surgery, some pictures of stuff and all of that, and then going through the process. But we will move on to probably why most of you have bothered to click on this, which is strongman related stuff. Should you do a training split that you enjoy or one that gets results? A good coach will hopefully make sure it's both. It's not that complicated. Training doesn't have to be awful. Like, there's some stuff, and people on the Strength Academy and my own clients will attest to that some stuff isn't the most fun, but it's justified and there are reasons behind doing it. But generally, your training should be fun. It's a hobby. Like, at the end of the day, you're not... 99% of people training aren't doing it for a job. So if it's not fun, speak to your coach and say you're not enjoying stuff, and either they should change it or they should justify why they're not going to change it. If a coach is just telling you to crack on with something, then they're not coaching you. They're just telling you numbers and trying to take money off you. How did your body weight at your heaviest affect your day to day? It's a really interesting one, because I was really heavy, but I was really stubborn. And I trained a lot, like 6 to 10 sessions a week, either doing strongman, Olympic weightlifting, doing other sports, doing CrossFit. So it's sort of really surprising that I was horrifically fat. But I think that training meant that my day-to-day life wasn't super affected. And at the time, I didn't really notice it. But since losing quite a lot of weight, I realised, I was putting huge amounts of pressure through my knees and my joints and stuff. The biggest issue I had when I was heavier were sores, realistically. Like, it's the thing that no one really talks about, but being really big isn't the most fun thing in the world, and it's painful. But in terms of actually doing stuff, it wasn't that big of an effect. I'd break furniture quite a lot, but other than that, you just sort of crack on. People who are big and use being big as an excuse are just looking for an excuse to not do things, really. I suppose up to a point. But I was, over 400 pounds and would go out playing rugby, go out jumping, go do weird shit. So, it's doable. You just have to want to do it and be willing to put up with a bit of discomfort at times. Who do you have picked to win the Rogue Invitational? The events have just come out now as I'm filming it, and I'm not 100% sure what some of them mean. But it seems like it's Rogue, so it'll probably be quite a heavy comp, and there sort of seems to be quite a few pulling events, so I think bodyweight will count. So I think Martins, I think they're really good events for him, and I think Alexis is a phenomenal strongman. There's some incredible athletes going out there, but Rogue seems to suit Martins. He's been peaking for a long time for it, and he's heavy. He's one of the heavier guys out there, I think, and I think that'll help on. There's like a roller coaster pull. I don't really know what that means, but I assume being heavy is going to help, because it generally does in those sort of events. How do you approach periodization for comps that are months away? I don't. I peak for a competition with 8 to 12 weeks preparation, and anything outside of that is either peaking for a different competition or is working on weaknesses or off-season time, depending how far away it is. You could get a good off season in sort of 12 weeks, or you could get a good block of training in to work on weaknesses. But competition prep for me and my guys is ideally 8 to 12 weeks. It depends on the competition and the experience of the athlete. So outside of that, we're not peaking for that competition. We're sort of looking at ways we can be a better athlete for all competitions. The only exception for that is if you know there's some really technical weird events, and then we might start putting them in a bit earlier. But generally, 8 to 12 weeks, it's plenty if you're sort of programming stuff properly. I want my overhead training to carry over into benching. Should I do strict or push press? You should do both at different times. Do a phase of strict press, do a phase of push press, do a phase of bench, do a phase of incline bench. Do different phases of different things that work the muscles you want to train at different times. There's no either or. There's no best. People keep asking questions, and people keep posting videos saying this is the best way to do this, this is the best way to do that. Those people are full of shit, because there isn't a best way to do something. Every single person has a way that will suit them 100%, and that is their best way. But that technique or that approach might be totally wrong for someone else. Proper coaching and people who actually care about clients will not have a set formula. You deal with people. We aren't just sending numbers out to people. You are coaching individual people and saying that you know the best technique for this, or you know the best X, Y, and Z for something is just bollocks. I have my preferred ways of doing something. For me, they've got the best results. We've won quite a lot of trophies using those sort of methods and stuff, but it's individualized. So do a phase of strict press, see how you feel. Do a phase of push press, do a phase of 1.5 presses, do some Bradford press, do some pause push press, do some incline bench, pause stuff, spotter press, mix up pressing. Do that for any sport as well, not just to sort of carry over to bench. What's something most don't know about you but I wish more knew? The way I answered this on Instagram was, I am not Dan Hipkiss, who played, I want to say, inside centre for Leicester Tigers and England. I am Dan Hipkiss, who is sat here. He is not me. I am not him. I get tagged in stuff by people who just assume there's only one Dan Hipkiss in the world. And I don't think he's on Instagram, so I just get tagged as him, which is great. I wish I got all the benefits he seems to be getting as an incredibly talented professional athlete, but nope, not him. And the other thing I said was, I have learned things the hard way. As a coach or as a strength coach or whatever, I am generally not that qualified. I've done, a few small qualifications, but I tried to go to university and disagreed with everything they said, because what they were teaching was out of date when my mum went to university to study similar subjects. So anything I ask clients to do, I have done in some way myself. I have been heavier than 99% of people I coach. I've lost more weight than most people I coach. I have done things myself that are generally pretty terrible ideas, in the interest of experimenting and trying to find the best solution for other people. So if I say to do something, I have either done it or I would be willing to do it if I was better at whatever I'm telling someone to do. I dealt with drug addiction for a long time. I got really into taking Class A drugs and drinking heavily. So I know what it's like. I know what people are going through. It's not just making random stuff up. It's what life was for me for a while. So I think that's the thing I'd like people to know, is that whilst I might not look exactly like a coach, maybe I will after I'm leaner and got less skin. Maybe I'm not as strong as some people, but I've done stuff, and the reason I do stuff is because I genuinely care about people and getting the best results out of them. Favourite UK climbing spot? I could do hundreds and hundreds of videos about places in the UK that I like climbing. But the easiest or sort of most succinct way of summing it up is North Wales and the Peak District. However, the Slate Quarries in Dinorwic are a very special place to me. There's some incredible routes there that I want to do, and they're haunting to be in. Even if you're not a climber, go to Llanberis and go for a walk in Dinorwic Slate Quarries. And Cloggy, or Clogwyndir Ethri, is a stunning cliff on the side of Snowdon, or Idva if you want to call it its actual name. It's a beautiful cliff. It's really interesting to be there. It's quite a nice but awful walk-in, so you sort of feel like you're really doing something. And then aside from that, it's the Peak District, and specifically Gritstone. Burbage South is really amazing for the main sort of crag walls and the quarry there. But yeah, any Gritstone makes me happy. I'm not super psyched on limestone. It doesn't really do it for me. But again, it might do when I'm loads lighter. And I think we'll sort of finish off the questions with, how would you warm up for an event session? I would warm up for the event session the same way I'd warm up for any other session. Get generally warm. Either walk to the gym, 5 minutes on a treadmill, dance about to shit music, do something to get warm. Then do some dynamic stretching, sort of what's tight or what is related to what you're going to be doing that day. And then start lifting weights. Start light with really good technique and slowly build the weight up until you hit your working sets. It's not as complicated as people want to make out. It works, and it has worked for everyone I coach. There may be other ways you like to warm up, but that's what works for me and works for the people I coach. But I think that'll do for the Q&A. What I want to do is say thank you for people for their support on Instagram and on here. If there's anything you want me to cover in another video, if there's stuff that you really care about, stuff you don't care about, leave me a comment, or I'll do a Q&A on Instagram. But yeah, comment on this video. I'll check the comments and we'll see what people want to hear or what people liked or didn't like. And like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. And yeah, thank you for listening and have a great day.